called me about 3
Steve,
times.
you saw the text earlier about
He-
construction start.
We had to go set up for business expo.
Yeah, our way before
I think he wanted to go play golf and do lunch. So he probably was calling
in the
me.
construction world, if you get an opportunity, you better
I'll do
jump.
a really good job in.
So maybe,
May 1st.
That's kind of nice. That's, Harmony Ranch it's the best. If I had a flower shop, you know, I would be farmers, anything that you,
The week before or something, or
every business on Treadway should be at Farm Ranch. You should not,
that evening.
you should not, you have a business on Treadway, and you're not.
The time is now 6 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. We'll be in a moment of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings that you give to us, including the time, your grace. Father, we just ask that as we go through the business portion tonight, that you guide us, that you show us the path that we should take, that everything is for your will, Father. Father, we ask that you walk with us, light our path, and bless this city, Father. We ask these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We are getting much better at at this time, we'll move into council announcements. Comments may be made by council on the following topics without specific notice. Expressions of thanks, congratulations or condolences, information on holiday schedules, recognition of public officials, employees or citizens other than employees or officials whose status may be affected by the council through action. Reminders of community events, update on city properties. No action may be taken on these items. David, do you have anything?
I do. I would like to remind the community that the Bulldog Community Park Board will be having their car show and Easter egg hunt on April 4th at the park. So just be mindful of that. Invite everybody to come out. There's going to be music, vendors, shaping up to be a real good time for the community. So I encourage everybody to attend. Should we go ahead and do the other? And on another bright note, you know, the park committee's been working to get that splash pad installed and up and running. The equipment has been delivered and installation will start as soon as Thursday, at the latest Friday. So while it may not be in use at the car show, they will be something to look at.
Outstanding.
Fantastic.
Amy,
I'm good, thank you.
you're good? Jim? Mike? Bo?
Yeah, I'd like to make an announcement that Secretary Thornton has been working very hard, and she's done a lot to help us, especially during this time. And the previous regular meeting back in February, when I saw the numbers were wrong, that was a mistake by the attorney. I said, you know, y'all trying to pass this through or something to that effect. And with that, I did not mean to direct that towards Secretary Thornton. She's always been extremely open with us. She's always been, you know, very transparent with us. And for that, I want to give you an apology for that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right. Moving on to section 5.0, public comments and receipt of petitions. At this time, anyone will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters or matters under litigation for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes. No council or board discussion or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on an agenda and posted in accordance with the law. And I know that we do have a couple. Is there anybody else that did not turn in your blue forms to speak? If not, we'll begin with Miss Danielle. If you could come forward, state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Danielle Morgan at 1329 County Road 631, and I'm with the Clyde Children's Theater.
Outstanding.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I understand that the city is working hard to reduce debt and make financially responsible decisions. I truly respect that, and I know those are not easy decisions to make, but I want to share why charging nonprofit youth programs like the Children's Theater may not be the best path forward. Right now, Clyde has 2 children-focused nonprofits using city spaces, the Children's Theater and the Cub Scouts. Both programs exist for one purpose, to give kids a safe, positive, enriching environment, and both programs operate on extremely limited budgets. For theater, I intentionally keep tuition at $25 a month, and even then, when parents are struggling to pay, I don't turn kids away. Because this program isn't about acting, it's about confidence, friendships, creativity, and giving kids something positive to be a part of. I personally coverage an average of $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a season in cost just to keep this program running. I want to emphasize that we take pride in the space we use. We always leave the community center better than we found it, and at least once a season, we do a full deep clean of the entire facility out of respect and gratitude for being allowed to use the space. If we are required to pay a rental fee on top of everything else, we simply will not be able to afford to stay. And that's a reality not just for theater, but for most nonprofits. These programs are not businesses. We don't generate a profit, and we rely on community support to exist at all. If fees are implemented, we won't be able to continue operating at the community center. If we have to leave, there's a very real chance we won't find another suitable space. This doesn't just impact us, it impacts the kids. It means fewer opportunities, fewer safe places to go, fewer programs that build confidence, leadership, and community connection. I know the city is looking for ways to generate revenue, but I respectfully ask that you consider that nonprofits are not the place to do that. Instead, we are partners in building a stronger community. We are helping raise the next generation of Clyde children who feel connected, supported, and proud of where they come from. We want to stay at the community center and we want to stay in Clyde, but we cannot do that if we are required to pay rental fees. I'm asking you today to continue to support these programs by allowing us to use the space without charge so that we can continue pouring into these kids for our community. Thank you for your time.
Outstanding.
Ms. Morgan, what was your address
1329 County Road 631?
here in Clyde?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Mr. Aaron Young. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and then you will have 3 minutes to speak.
All right, Aaron Young, private, 2177 Private Road, 1122. All right, good evening, Mayor and council members. I just wanted to follow up with the email I sent regarding ordinance number 2026-013 and the proposed admission fees for the Hanner Sports Complex. First, I want to acknowledge that I understand the city is trying to be financially responsible and manage the costs associated with significant community investment. I don't think anyone here is opposed to sustainability. The concern is how that sustainability is being achieved and how it impacts Clyde and nearby communities' families. In many cases, families are already paying registration or league fees for their children to participate in youth sports. Adding an admission fee on top of that means those families may now be paying multiple times just for the opportunity to let their kids play and to be there to support them. While I understand that admission fees are common at school athletic events, those are generally tied to supporting student programs. A city-owned community facility carries a different expectation. The families can participate and attend without facing multiple layers of cost. I think it's fair to ask, at what point does the public facility begin to feel less accessible to the very community it was built to serve? I would also appreciate more clarity around the intent of these fees. Are they strictly to offset operational costs? Are they expected to contribute more broadly to the city's financial position? Additionally, I'd like to briefly touch on the process of these agenda items. I've noticed that ordinance items like this, especially those with direct financial impact, don't always include an opportunity for public comment dedicated at the time they are considered. I understand that it's not required under Texas Open Meetings Act, but I would encourage the council to consider allowing brief, item-specific input for these type of decisions. Providing that opportunity could help ensure that the community concerns are heard in real time, and it may also help the council identify potential issues earlier, before decisions need to be revisited later. Ultimately, most residents want the same thing for the Hanner Sports Complex to succeed, and for it to remain a place where Clyde families feel welcome, not priced out. Thank you for your time and for your service to the community. Since I have a little extra time, I just want to base a touch here that I looked at the fees, where Clyde is charging $25 per hour minimum, where Abilene Parks baseball fields are charging $25 per person per season. So in looking at that, I found that it is possible that Clyde is actually more expensive than Abilene. Thank you.
All right. Two very good topics, two very well-spoken individuals. Moving on to item 6.0, consent agenda. Consider and act upon approving minutes from the regular meetings of February 10th, 2026 and February 24th, 2026 as printed. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by David Mann,
I'll second.
seconded by Michael Shellhammer. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously to approve the minutes from the regular meetings of February 10th and February 24th, 2026. Okay, moving on to agenda item 7.0, presentations. This first one is a pleasure of mine to present. As I mentioned in our last meeting, I was kind of the back then, we were able to call them choir geeks, but now, the gifted. If I could have Mr. Braden Taylor come forward. Braden made All-State Choir 2026. That's an outstanding achievement. As somebody that's been to some of these competitions, it is a very difficult thing to do, and it is definitely a worthy accomplishment that you made it. So congratulations and thanks for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Okay, and did Mr. Scott Hulk happen to come in tonight? Okay. Moving on, Chief of Police Trevor Barnes to present to the council the City of Clyde's racial profiling report submitted to the state of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is a annual event that all department heads across the state, across the nation enjoy doing, and that is gathering our statistics for 2025, and that's what I have in front of you today. There's been a lot of work put into this, so please, I will go through it pretty rapidly because a lot of it you're not going to understand, and I get it. So the first 3 pages, I numbered them on the bottom right just so we can move a little bit faster here. Guys, this is all given by our records management system. Every time you see a police officer on the interstate, that officer is documenting a bunch of data. And that data is literally in front of your face right now, all for 2025. So it's imperative that they do a bunch of different things to make sure. We get audited, we get a lot of audits. We're very highly regulated through the state of Texas to do what we do, and this is just one of them. But this information is gathered by the officers individually, put into this little beautiful form that I created, and then sent to the state of Texas, DPS, who then sends it to the FBI. So as long as there's not any red flags, then it's going to be perfectly fine. That's why we're not doing a discuss and consider tonight, because the computer did all the work. There's nothing really to consider. It's my job to present it to you and make sure that you're aware of it. I do want to go ahead and go to page 4. the first page is my cover sheet, the next two pages are just something called comparative analysis. And then page 4 is where the meat and potatoes really start. And I encourage you to really look at the very top there. You're looking at January 1st to December 31st. So that's going to be the total stops. That number is imperative. The number is very, very important. That number has to coincide with everything that we do. I have to use that number, how many total stops was made throughout the year, to make sure all the other numbers make sense. And then, so that number is 2980. And we're gonna keep that in mind at the very end here. It's gonna break it down to you where the streets, what kind of streets they were pulled over on. It's gonna tell you, did we know their race before we stopped them? Have y'all seen a tinted window in a Chrysler 300? It's pretty difficult. Like, no. Usually you do not know the race before you pull somebody over, because that's not really important. What's important is the traffic infraction, whatever that may be. So what race did they end up being? And what gender did they end up being? And you see a lot of breakdown there. And I'm moving on to page 5. Why did we stop them? Was it for a violation of law, pre-existing knowledge of a situation, a moving traffic violation, the dramatic large portion, a vehicle traffic violation? And then of those stops that were made, how many of those was a search conducted? Why do we search vehicles? Do we see something in plain view? Do we smell something? And that's why we search a vehicle, okay? Was it search incident to arrest? There's only certain reasons why we can get into your private spot and search your car. So it doesn't happen very often that a search is done, but when a search was done, what ended up in that search and what races did we search, okay? So we only had 78 searches out of 2,902 people were not searched. So was the search due to consent? We're going to ask you, can I search your vehicle? Or was the search on page 6 on the top, was the search due to probable cause and inventory for the vehicle, or incident to arrest? After we arrest you, we search your vehicle. What we're doing is we're categorizing the contents of the vehicle before we send it to the towing yard to protect you so that nothing is stolen between transport. Was contraband discovered during those searches? Was contraband discovered, yes or no? You see the numbers there. And then what kind of contraband was done? It gets pretty difficult, gets pretty in-depth really quick. So I'm on page 7 here. What did we find there? And then what was the result of the stop? So of all the stops we had, what was the result? Is 1,158 warnings, written warnings, and 1,800 citations. So was there on page 8 there? I know it's a lot of data and I don't want to bore you or my friends behind me. So we have written warning and arrest. Did we have a citation and arrest, or simply an arrest? What was the arrest that we had? What were they based upon? Violation of the penal code, which is your laws, your traffic code, traffic laws, which makes sense, city ordinances, or warrants, outstanding warrants. Okay, the very end, page 9 here is going to be, was physical force resulting in bodily injury used during the stop? Did we have to actually put our hands on somebody in the stop? Yes or no? Looks pretty good. And did anybody complain on us that we stopped them due to racial profiling? And if you see there, out of the 2,980 stops, 0 people complained that we stopped them due to racial profiling. Page 10 is going to be the actual comparative analysis. This is the document that we are required to send. On the bottom there is going to be a large print there. It's called Culogic. Culogic is the parent company of a company called CopSync, which is where we used our system, our ticket writing system, our report writing system, all goes through something called CopSync. You should see the bill. Y'all should have seen the bill by now. It's pretty pricey, but this is one of the things that they do for us. And then I would like to encourage you to go to page number 11. I would remind you that we have 2,980 stops this 2025. And if you notice on the top there, my beautiful stars, it shows you that there was 2024 data. And that shows you that there was 790 more stops made in 2025 than 2024. Okay, that's why that number is important. And then I created a document to try to understand a little bit better. And if you look at page 12, the end of my beautiful report here is going to be, where do we fall with everybody else? I grabbed the data from 2024. Understand, I underscored it for you, 2024 data we're talking about, because obviously 25 wasn't available whenever I did this. But 2024 data, where did Clyde PD fall into the region? And I think that if you give that a look, I like to say a gander these days, if you give it a look, then you'll see that it's pretty high up there, the amount of work that these guys are doing day in and day out. Yes, we do have a grant called STEP, Selective Traffic Enforcement through TxDOT, and that is, let's be honest, 65%, probably. I don't know, probably, pretty close to there, of the amount of traffic stops that are being made, is during those officers' off-duty time that they're getting paid to work by our STEP grant. And they are paying our overtime for that, so. Any questions that I could field in reference to that? Anything? A lot of data, I know, I'm sorry, but this is my real life. I was very ready to go 2 weeks ago before you all decided to have a hailstorm, so. If there is no questions, just so you know, we had a TCO audit. We do love audits. We had a TCO audit that was it's a surprise. It's every other year. They don't really tell us when they're coming. And they showed up out of the blue and they looked at our files, our records, our personnel files, because we're licensed by the state of Texas, every one of us. And they looked and look at our records. And it's very, 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 very tedious. And we got 100% on that audit just 2 weeks ago. The day before the meeting was supposed to happen, like Monday before the meeting or so. So, yeah, it happened, and it's very, very good for us, so we're happy. Questions that I could answer? Thanks for entertaining me.
Great, great job.
Yeah, fantastic.
David, have anything?
Appreciate all the information, very well put together.
Amy?
Ditto.
Jim? Mike? Vote.
Congrats on the audit.
Thank you. Guys, that last page is something that I created, not that we sent to the FBI, so if, I do like to give you as much information as possible, if some confidentiality would be appreciated.
Yep.
Thank you.
Outstanding job by our police department. Moving on to item 8.0, public hearings. Agenda item 8.1, hold a public hearing regarding a final replat for property described as 0.5 of an acre out of a 5.755 acre tract of land out of the southwest part of section 60, BBB and C are Railroad Company Survey, east side of Hayes Road, south and I-20, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. Terry?
This is the property that we had last month. This is just the final plat that's coming up for it.
Okay.
We did the preliminary last month, so this is a little half-acre tract there across the street from the travel center.
Awesome. Any public comments on that section? Item 8.2, hold a public hearing regarding a conditional use permit on property described as being 113 Faith Circle, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. Property is currently zoned as general commercial. The conditional use permit would allow for this property to be occupied as a residence. Terry?
This is the property over off of Hunt Street that used to be a doctor's office. The building directly in front of this building is also, it's doing the same exact thing up front. There's someone living in it. It's not gonna be changing anything. What we're doing here is allowing them to live inside that building in a commercial property. So,
Okay. Any public comments on that? Moving on to item 8.3, hold a public hearing regarding an amendment for property located at being lot 109, Block A, Kingwood Estates, 1012 Northbrook, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. The request is to amend the final plat and turn 1010 and 1012 Northbrook into one lot. Anything on that, Terry?
this one's Kingwood Estates. If you haven't been out there yet, it's out there off of 604. That new addition that's going in, and they're building a house over there, and they want a pool at the house too, so what they're doing is combining the two lots together to give an opportunity to put that all in one piece. So we're just amending the plat, that's all we're doing, we're not gonna change it, replat it, we're just gonna amend it.
Okay. Any public comments on item 8.3? Okay. Ng on to regular agenda. Consider and with possible action to approve the final replat of property located at being 0.5 of an acre out of a 5.755 acre tract of land out of the southwest part of section 60 BB and B, 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 and C. RR Company Survey, east side of Hayes Road South and I-20, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. Council member discussion, questions, start with David. No questions? Amy?
No, I'm good.
Jim?
No.
No, sir. Bo?
No, I don't.
Okay. No questions, no discussion. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat.
Motion to approve the final plat has been made by David Mann,
I'll second it.
seconded by Amy Jolly. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 8.2. Hold a public hearing regarding a conditional use permit on property described as being 113 Fay Circle, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. Property is currently zoned as general commercial. The conditional use permit would allow for this property to be occupied as a residence. Council discussion, questions, Bo?
I think you read off the wrong one. It's
8.2?
9.2.
9.2.
No. Good catch. Look at you, Bo. Consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-009, an ordinance of the City of Clyde, Texas, providing for specified changes in the official zoning map of the City of Clyde, Texas, providing for a conditional use permit for a single-family dwelling in a general commercial zone district on property legally described as 100 by 135 feet of Lot 4, Sarah and Wendy Acres, Clyde subdivision, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas, and commonly known as 113 Fay Circle, Clyde, Texas, providing repealer and severability clauses and providing for an effective date. All right, Bo. Questions, comments?
I'm assuming this used to be the WIC building, or is it one of those three?
Yes, it is one of those three over there. Yeah.
I don't know.
Michael?
No, sir.
Jim?
No, I'm good.
David?
I knew this answer 2 weeks ago, but I know there's a repealer if the house is left vacant. How long is that vacancy?
I believe this one in here is gonna be 3 months,
The
90 days.
90-day vacancy?
So, you're not changing the zoning, all you're doing is allow this to happen. If they move out of the house and nobody moves back in the house within that 90 days, it automatically goes back to the commercial zoning and nobody can live in it.
Thank you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2026-9 in ordinance City of Clyde, Texas, providing for specific changes to the official zoning map of the City of Clyde, Texas, providing for conditional use permit, a single-family dwelling in a general commercial zone district on property legally described as 100 by 135 feet of Lot 4, Sarah and Wendy Acres, Clyde subdivision, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. That's known as the 113 Phase Circle. Provided for repealer and severability clauses, and provided for effective date.
Motion to approve as stated by Bo Davidson, seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Now that my notes are in the right spot, moving on to 9.3. Consider with possible action to approve an amendment for property located at being Lot 109, Block A, Kingwood Estates, 1012 Northbrook, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. The request is to amend the final plat and turn 1010 and 1012 Northbrook into one lot. Open it for council discussion. David?
No questions.
Amy?
No questions.
Jim?
Good.
Mike?
No.
No
Bo?
questions?
Outstanding. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment for property located at being lot 109, block of Kingwood Estates, 1012 Northbrook, City of Clyde, Callahan County, Texas. I request to amend the final plat and turn 1010 and 1012 Northbrook into one lot.
I second that motion.
Motion to approve as stated by Michael Shellhammer, seconded by Bo Davidson. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.4, consider with possible action to approve a $50,000 grant to the Bulldog Community Park Board from the Clyde Economic Development Corporation. Bearing in mind that there are 2 members from the Community Park Board on the council.
Yes, sir. So I will recuse myself. In all transparency, I did make the presentation to the EDC myself in their last scheduled meeting. So for that fact, I am going to recuse myself from this agenda item.
Amy is on the EDC board, and
I
so
will recluse myself
No.
from, no?
You don't
I
have to.
can't, I don't have to, you sure? Okay.
and then Bo, you are a member of the Community Park Committee, but not on the board, correct?
I believe I'm on the member of the board, right?
He's on the board? Okay. So we do have 2
I'm gonna recuse myself from,
that are recused. We still do have a quorum for the discussion. So I will open up for discussion from Michael Shellhammer,
No?
Jim Rector,
I think the money will be put to good use.
Amy Jolly.
The money's gonna go to a great use for the entire community.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the $50,000 grant to the Bulldog Community Park Board from the Clyde Economic Development Corporation.
We have a motion to approve from Michael Shellhammer,
I'd second.
seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? And 2 recusals, passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.5, consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-007, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, amending Appendix FS, fee schedule of the Clyde Code of Ordinances by amending Article 1.000 miscellaneous related fees to add Section FS 1.010 Clyde Community Center to establish fees for rental of Clyde Community Center, providing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Okay. Get to that page so we can have some discussion here. All right, going through this ordinance, whereas the City of Clyde is a Type A general law city operating pursuant to the laws of the state of Texas. The city may hold property and may manage and control its property. The city is the owner of certain property. The city council wishes to establish regulations for the reservation of the Clyde Community Center. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, that addition of Article 1.010, General Provisions of the Clyde Code of Ordinances, is hereby amended by adding Article 1.010, Clyde Community Center, to read as follows, and all other sections of said chapter shall remain in full force and effect. Item 1.010.001, rental times, available time slots, 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. for a full day. Half-day would be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Option 3 is by the hour with a maximum of 6 hours. Rental times include setup and cleanup. Deposits. Partial or full return of deposits may be made as determined by the city following a thorough inspection of the event's cleanup and determination that the renter complied with this article. Regular renters of the Clyde Community Center may leave a deposit on file. Item 1.010.003, event setup and tear down. Items which are moved or stored during the event must be returned to their original positions as part of the cleanup requirements. The use of push pins, nails, staples, tape, or other adhesives to affix decorations or other items to the walls, ceiling, or floor is prohibited. The use of candles or other fire other than for the purpose of cake decoration is prohibited. The city is not responsible for items left inside the Clyde Community Center during or following an event. Item 1.010.004, parking. Parking around the community center is public and will be not guaranteed by reserving the Clyde Community Center. 1.010.005, penalty. Violations of this article shall be punished as provided in section 1.01.009 of this code. Section 2, repeal. Any prior ordinance provisions are hereby repealed to the extent that they are in conflict with the terms of this ordinance. Any remaining provisions of said ordinances shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, severability. Should any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, it is expressly provided that any and all remaining portions of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. Clyde hereby declares that it would have passed this ordinance and each section, subsection, clause, or phrase thereof, irrespective of the fact that any one or more sections, subsections, clauses, or phrases be declared unconstitutional or invalid. Effective date, the ordinance shall become effective upon its adoption and after publication as required by law. Open this up for discussion. Bo?
Yes, on that one, this is for ordinance 007. With the fee schedule on that. Now, there is an exception with paragraph B for nonprofits, community groups, and civic organizations may, at the discretion of the city administrator and/or city secretary, continue to use the community center at no charge, provided those organizations place a cleaning/damage deposit on file with the city. And then that deposit is $200. And that's all I have on that.
All right, well, I was directed to the wrong page, so I read the wrong one, so let's discuss the next one and come back to that one, if that's okay with y'all. So agenda item 9.6 is the one that we are discussing right now.
Okay, no, that's-
It's okay.
I don't have anything.
We'll
I
get
was
through
on
it.
the wrong page.
We'll get through it, it's okay. Regarding agenda item 9.6, 2026-008, are there any discussion items? David?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Amy?
No.
Jim?
That's got the information that I was looking for, the cost and everything, so. Just for information, the full day, is $250 per day. A half day, which is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. is $150 per day, or by the hour at $25.
We're
Is
gonna
that
circle
correct?
right back to this. To
Okay.
07.
All right.
Finish with 08. Discussions. Any discussion there, Mike?
No.
Any discussion, Bo, on 08? Okay. We will save the motion for 08 until after 07 has been discussed. Agenda item 9.5, ordinance number 2026-007. Moving into Addition of section FS 1.010, miscellaneous related fees of Appendix FS, fee schedule of the Clyde Code of Ordinances is hereby amended by adding section FS 1.010, Clyde Community Center, to read as follows. And all other sections of said article shall remain in full force and effect. Clyde Community Center rental, full day from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. is $250 per day. Half day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 12 a.m., $150 per day. By the hour, 6-hour maximum rental, $25 per hour. Section B, nonprofits, community groups, and civic organizations may, at the discretion of the city administrator, city secretary, continue to use the community center at no charge, provided those organizations place a cleaning damage deposit on file with the city. Section 2, repeal. Any prior ordinances or ordinance provisions are hereby repealed to the extent they are in conflict with the terms of this ordinance. Severability. Should any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, it is expressly provided that any and all remaining portions of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. Effective date, the ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. Discussion on 2026-007, vote.
I have nothing on that.
Mike?
No.
Jim?
Who will make the determination on the deposit if the building, the facility is still in good shape and clean?
We will have someone go over the morning after or Monday morning, whichever comes first. Do a walkthrough of it, make sure it's where it
Somebody from
should be.
city staff?
Yes.
Got it.
Anything further?
Nope.
Amy?
No, I'm good. I like it.
Just want to make a brief statement. As a council, this was important to us that we do look after our civic groups, our community organizations, and our nonprofits that benefit the community directly. So y'all have been heard for all the input and inquiries we had concerning this. Thank y'all.
And that's the exact reason that it was tabled, so that we could hear those, so that we could hear those discussions. So well said, David. At this time, I'll entertain a motion on 2026-007, item 9.5.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance as read.
Motion to approve by David Mann, as read.
I'll second.
Seconded by Amy Jolly, as read. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Sir.
It was an exercise in futility on that. Moving on to agenda item 9.6 that we have already read and had discussion for. At this time, I will entertain a motion for agenda item 9.6 concerning ordinance number 2026-008.
I make a,
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2026-008.
Motion to approve by Jim Rector,
I'll second it.
seconded by Amy Jolly. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.7. Consider with possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing membership in the Atmos Cities Steering Committee and authorizing the payment of 4 cents per capita to the Atmos Cities Steering Committee to fund regulatory and related activities related to Atmos Energy Corporation.
This is a yearly membership that we buy into with a bunch of other cities, and I included that in y'all's packet, the list of cities. It's a coalition, and we're stronger together, and they set their per capita rates, and this lets us be a part of that membership.
And what are the benefits of that membership?
It keeps the cost down for our citizens on how much Atmos can go up. And if we have any issues with that, Miss the coalition will step in on our behalf.
Outstanding. Council discussion, David?
I'm good.
Amy?
That's good.
It's $159 a year, I'm sorry.
That's important. Jim? Mike?
No.
Bo?
Nothing.
With no discussion further, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Motion to approve by David Mann,
I'll second.
seconded by Michael Shellhammer. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.8. Consider with possible action to adopt ordinance 2026-010, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, repealing ordinance number 2025-019.
This was a ordinance that was adopted in November of last year for a property location out on Cherry Street that we never received a service agreement on, so the ordinance is out of compliance. And our attorney's advice is that we repeal that ordinance until we get some kind of service agreement on that property.
Open it up for council discussion. Bo, any questions?
No.
Michael?
No.
Jim?
No.
Amy?
No.
David? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance, or to repeal the ordinance.
Motion to repeal by David Mann, seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.9, bids for city properties. The 4 properties council wanted put out for bids to sell were published in the Clyde Journal with a deadline of March 6th, 2026, which has passed.
It has passed and we got 0 bids on 0 properties. I have reached out to our attorney where we can go from here. She has sent me a very detailed response with, I got it this afternoon late, with some laws and quotes from those laws. And I have made copies of those for each of you to look at, and we can discuss it at next month's meeting or at y'all's convenience. But she has sent me some information for y'all to look over on what options we have now.
Okay? Any questions from council? David?
That was gonna be my question, so.
Amy?
No.
Jim?
No.
Mike?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for any possible action. No motion. No motion to consider. Moving on to agenda item 9.10. Consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-011, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, amending Appendix FS fee schedule of the Clyde Code of Ordinances by amending Article 2.000 Utility-Related Fees, Section FS-2.001 Waste Collection to add fees relating to roll-off containers, providing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date. Jerry? And you? This is your portion, Jerry.
Roll-offs, the ordinance for the 20-yarders.
Can you explain to us what we've got in front of us as far as the ordinance?
It's
No.
$275 a month to rent the 20-yard roll-offs. It's $100 per trip, and that $100 includes the cost of our employees, the vehicle to transport. So it would be $100 each trip we have to make to the landfill, plus the landfill fee is what they would be responsible for. But the $275 for the roll-off itself covers 1 full month for them to be there.
Okay. Open it up for council discussion, questions. David?
As somebody that rents roll-offs fairly frequently, these charges are much better than what I typically pay, so they are well within line for the length of time of the rental. I think it's a great deal to at least help cover the cost.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, from what I researched it, I like it. I agree with David.
Jim?
I don't have a problem with that.
Michael? Bo?
No, being how large a container that is, that's per yard, that's getting very close to that 8-yard container, so I think it's a very good price for that.
Okay. No further discussion. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion to approve by David Mann,
I'll second it.
seconded by Amy Jolly. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.11. Consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-012, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, amending Appendix FS fee schedule of the Clyde Code of Ordinances by amending Section FS 2.002 water tap fees to assess base fees for water taps and water meters, plus actual costs of equipment, providing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
I'm gonna turn this over to David Mann and Jerry. They met on this and went into it with quite detail. I have met with Jerry on this, and we have gone into it with quite detail, but I'd like for David to address this.
So Jerry was gracious enough to carve out an hour or two of his busy day and sit down with me and break down what each component was and actually show me our actual invoices and what our costs are for installing these items. Basically, the 3/4 taps are the most common taps we use, primarily residential. When we were talking about this, the prices were varying based on what size line they were tapping into greatly. So what we've done is we've taken that information and found the middle ground on that. So we're proposing this the $750 for a 3/4 inch tap. Did the same thing with the 1-inch taps. That came out to $850. The 2-inch water taps, you'll notice there's a pretty good size price increase on that. And I was astonished at the cost of that equipment to do that. Jerry explained it to me, and Jerry, the 2-inch water taps are primarily for our large commercial development type properties. That's the initial.
Yeah, a 2-inch is usually like your truck stop has a 2-inch meter and set up. Some of the bigger businesses have 2-inch, so that meter flows a lot of water. The meter's more expensive. The valves are what really eats us alive. Those 2 valves it takes on a 2-inch line are 10 times the cost of a 3/4 valve. So it jumped up, and we still tried to cut the middle ground on that one too.
We did.
So the purpose really of this is intended for new construction only, and it is for, well, new additions only. I can't say new construction necessarily, but where a water tap does not exist. And It is basically to offset some of the costs that the city has been incurring as a whole.
We figured it up and our total cost to put in the 3/4 meter is over $1,100.
However, part of that cost
Was
is
the
the meter, which in all fairness is basically like charging somebody for your own cash register. So I mean, and that's probably a poor way to phrase it, but those meters do remain the property of the city. So didn't feel like it was right to include that into that cost analysis, so.
And we do have something in place right now for these houses who have been here 30, 40, 50 years that their lines collapse and they have to re-tap a line. We give that re-tap at half price.
Okay.
We don't charge full price for that because things break down, they wear out. So, that is already in an ordinance and this does not affect that.
Okay. Amy?
No more questions?
Jen?
No.
Mike?
No.
Bo? Okay. No more discussion. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion on 9.11, ordinance number 2026-12, as already read.
Your motion is to approve or?
Oh, yeah, my motion's to approve.
Okay. Thank you for that
Oh,
clarification.
Tommy looking at me.
Got a motion to approve from Bo Davidson,
I'll second that.
seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.12, consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-013, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, amending Appendix FS Fee Schedule, Article 1.000, miscellaneous related fees of the Clyde Code of Ordinances by amending Section FS 1.009, Hanner Sports Complex, to establish admission fees, providing repealer and severability clauses, and providing for an effective date.
This is setting fees for non-Clyde CISD events, playoff games. Clyde can't pay their playoff games here, but we can host people to come in as a midway point and things like that. It is also giving a break to our people over 65. They get in for half price from $10 to $5. Our military also gets a break, and children under the age of 6 get in free.
Okay? I'm going to read through this really quickly with what she was just discussing. Admission fees for non-Clyde CISD events only. General admission, $10. Military personnel, active reserve or retired, $5. Over 65 years of age, $5. Under 6 years of age, free. Concession food and beverage prices will be set and are subject to change based on supply and demand. Baseball and softball fields, fields 2, 4, 5, and 6, $25 per hour. Championship fields 1 and 3, $35 per hour. Reserved use of fields 1 through 6 for the full day, $250 per field per day. Batting cage, $10 per hour. Pickleball court, general public use is free. Reserved use of all 4 courts, $250 per day. For the tennis courts, general public use is free. Reserved use of all 4 courts, $250 per day. Football, soccer, multi-purpose field, general public use is free. Rental of half of the field, $25 per hour. Rental of full field, $50 per hour. Reserved use of field, full field, $500 per day. Open it up for council discussion. Bo, do you have any questions?
For what Mr. Young was discussing, For the youth, fees on the admission, you'll know what those, the admissions are for the, like, the parents and,
Little League and girls softball is prohibited for us to charge per Little League rules.
Correct.
So we do not-
We don't charge for anything other than tournaments or bigger, like what Connie was saying, bigger events as far as, like the bigger games, if that makes sense.
good deal.
Playoffs, things like that.
Thank you. That's all.
Mike?
Nope.
Jim?
Do we have for, let's say, a high school baseball team, is there a set fee for those teams to come? I know when I worked for the school and they wanted to play a basketball game, we told them it was gonna cost turnkey X number of dollars. And that may be easier to do with those playoffs than figure out all those different hours and the batting cages, include all that in
So if
a,
they rent the field, we don't charge for like batting cages. The batting cages is only for if somebody wants to reserve it
Gotcha.
specifically.
gotcha,
And then as far as the fields go, normally if it's like schools or something like that, that's something that's discussed a little bit separate from like a normal field rental. The normal field rental is more for like practices and things like that.
yeah,
So if there's gonna be two, like let's say a little school in Abilene wants to come and play their games here because they don't have fields, we charge 2 team field rentals versus the one. If that, but playoff games, I'm not 100% sure on that.
Does that answer your question?
yeah, what I would suggest that we need to do on those playoff games is get in touch with the fields over in Abilene and see what they charge for playoff games, because it's easier, it's a whole lot easier if you have that set fee and somebody calls, is your field open? Yes, how much is it? Than saying 35 an hour and, you know, all that other stuff. But that may be something we wanna look at, and then add to this at a later date.
Absolutely.
Anything further?
Nope, that's good.
Amy?
No, I'm good.
David? Okay. Very good discussions. No further discussion. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion to approve as written by David Mann,
I'll
sec-
Oh, go ahead.
I'll second it.
seconded by Michael Shellhammer. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 9.13, consider with possible action to adopt ordinance number 2026-014, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clyde, Texas, amending Chapter 1 General Provisions, Article 1.03, City Officers, Division 2, City Administrator of the Clyde Code of Ordinances by revising Section 1.03.032, appointment residency requirement to extend the residency requirement to include the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, providing repealer and severability clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Our current invoice for the city administrator states that he or she has to reside within the city limits. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but we're having a bit of housing crunch. It's hard to find, properties within, so, the council felt like maybe we needed to look at expanding that out to include our ETJ, which is the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
And that area is how far out?
Is it 3-point-something miles? I'm not exactly sure of what our ETJ is. I know it goes up to 603, And that 603 right there where it comes across the overpass is the dividing line. And this part is our ETJ, and that part is Abilene's ETJ. And I'm pretty sure our ETJ goes out to, the golf course road.
Union Hill Road.
Yeah, Union Hill Road.
Yes, sir.
So it's that area.
So my concern with this, and I've voiced it before, is just that it's easy to, overlook the general good of the city if you're not directly in the city. That is my concern. The thing that we can do to overcome my concern, obviously, is to make sure that we hire somebody with a good moral compass. So, in that regard, I'm kind of torn with this one, but I leave it up to the council for discussion. David?
I just feel like with the, and I'll just call it what it is, it's a housing shortage right now here. I feel like with that, we just need to broaden that a little bit. Still want them close to the community center, but reality is, there's just not that much available inside city limits right now.
Amy?
You stole it.
I'm
That's what I was
sorry,
gonna
I'm
say.
sorry.
I agree with him, yeah, totally.
I agree with David 100%. I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that. When I was an administrator, I was expected to live within the city limits, and sometimes that's difficult to find. I think the ETJ is still close enough to the city. It's not like they're having to drive 40 or 50 miles into work every day. They're still gonna be very aware of what's going on in the city, being in the ETJ. That's my
Mike?
2 cents.
I agree with David and yourself on both those issues. I mean, yes, there is a housing crunch, but yet you want somebody here in the city. So, yeah.
Bo?
I agree with Mr. Mann. There is a housing crunch. It leaves an option for them. I prefer them to be in a city. But I think it's a good idea to go with this, and that's all.
Like I said, it just leaves the ball in our court to make sure that we hire somebody with good moral compass, and make this something that doesn't bite us.
Absolutely.
So. All right, so no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance as written.
A motion to approve by David Mann,
I'll second.
seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, moving on to agenda item 10.0, financial statement. Bo Davidson is going to go over that briefly.
Mr. Barnett is.
I think he's in the office.
Need to get him. He's coming.
Yeah, he's coming. We say that. Chris? All right. Chris, before he gets into that, is this gonna be, where people?
It's on YouTube.
Awesome. Answered my question.
All right. What was, this is the financial statements that's gonna cover, for February. I don't have, look, we're not at the end of March, don't have Marches yet. And a simple progress report. For the beginning of the month, the bank balances for the, general fund, enterprise fund, the main two that, fund the city's operations. Beginning at 112,000, ending at right about 96,000. We have revenues, just under 1 million. That's, the enterprise fund is for water, sewer, trash. And then general fund is everything else. That's gonna be your streets, police, library, pretty much everything that functions for the city that's, run by tax revenue as well as, sales tax revenue. The revenues, let's see where to cover that. The expenses is, right about a little over 1.7 million on that. Now, the reason why is because in February, we had that's the, 2 times a year, we have our debt service. That's gonna be our bonds, certificates of obligation, notes, things of that nature, so. And a lot of that was actually, was brought into the accounts, it was like a special holding account, like a sinking fund. And that was brought in, the month prior to that. So that's why it shows such a big difference on that. And this is just kind of a showing a budget impact. And so the budgeted is what back in September that was passed for the budget, the general fund, with revenues of 5.3 million. General fund expenses was budgeted at 7.3 million. Enterprise fund, again, the utilities, that was just under 5 million, and enterprise fund expenses, right about $2.5 million is what was budgeted on that. This is the actual, so this, the fiscal year begins October 1st and ends at the end of September. And we have on that, on the percentage of where we are with the budgeted amounts versus what was actually brought in and spent. That's not the budget balance like it is in the, in your packets. That's instead is just a, a direct percent of what it is of the budgeted amount. And so you see there with the enterprise fund expenses, because of that, that debt service, one of them being, the real big one being the performance services note. So that's almost at 100%. And that's where we make it up with the general fund and on the revenue side. And like it says there in the note, large positive is much of the debt service for August is already deposited into a sinking fund account. This is something that Secretary Thornton has keeping me apprised of, and it's looking good towards going to August. And that's all up for this month.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I appreciate you doing that, Bo. You've got a better grasp of numbers than I do. All right, so moving on to agenda item 11.0, executive session. Council may enter into closed or executive session to discuss the following. 11.1, convene into closed meeting pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes annotated in accordance with the authority contained in Government Code 551.072, real property concerning Hanner Sports Complex, Government Code 551.074, personnel concerning city administrator applications, Government Code 551.072, real property concerning Callahan County Water Service Corporation. Consider and act upon matters discussed in executive session if necessary. Outside of executive session, remind the council that no action shall be taken in executive session. Time is 7:13.
I have a whole collection of them all over the place.
Smells good in there.
Get me a hat? She's ignoring me.
Well, we're in conversation. Go ahead and talk to your husband.
Did you get me a hat?
Did I what?
Yes or no?
That's a no. That's how women say no.
Did I what? Get you what?
I got so many doggone hats she gets
All
on
in
me all the time about them.
Did I get you a hat for what?
Did we lose Jim?
We did.
He's
I
coming.
went to the restroom.
Since we're giving away free hats.
Or he's eating those
Did I get
cookies.
you a hat for what?
Never went.
A hat?
Yeah, he might.
He might have.
I think he's, is that Jim standing in the doorway?
John needs a cookie.
Oh, look, John.
Yeah,
got
that's
a
okay.
hat. How'd you get a hat?
You know, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
There
Hats
he
in the
is.
store.
The search party.
What time do you
Trade you a
have?
cookie for that hat.
8:16. All right, the time is 8:16. We do have a quorum present. Regarding 11.1, Government Code 551.072, real property concerning Hanner Sports Complex. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to enter into a field usage agreement with the Abilene Flying Bison and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
I have a motion by David Mann,
I'll second.
seconded by Amy Jolly. She beat him to it.
Sorry.
All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Regarding Government Code 551.074, personnel concerning city administrator applications, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to direct the staff to proceed with applications on hand.
Motion by Michael Shellhammer to proceed with applications.
I'll second.
Seconded by Jim Rector. All in favor? All opposed? Passes unanimously. Regarding Government Code 551.072, real property concerning Callahan County Water Service Corporation, I will entertain a motion. However, there is no action to be taken at this time. Any motions? No motions? Moving on. 12.0, the City Council for the City of Clyde reserves the right to adjourn. And at this point, I will exercise that right to adjourn this meeting.